Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 86 F's to Give podcast. I'm your host, Al. And if you don't know, 86 is a reference to the food industry where when they run out of something in the restaurant, they say 86 salmon, and that means they're all out of salmon. So at this podcast and in this community, we are 86ing our F's to give about what people think and going after our goals. So each episode, I 86 something new, something I'm trying to leave in the past, something I'm working on letting go of, or just something I think the society should let go of. So if this is your first episode, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for episode 30. If you're somebody that clicks on every other episode, joins us here and there, you're equally as welcomed. And if this is your 30th episode, you've listened to every single one, I love you and I'm so grateful for you. So wherever you are in your 86 F's to Give journey, thank you for being here. Also, if you don't know, this is my dog Puda. If you're not watching the podcast, I highly suggest getting to a visual platform because he's just the cutest. But I apologize if you can hear him panting in the background. He is a bit of a panter. But he's really sweet, so we're gonna let him hang out. So for today's episode, we are 86ing quarter one of 2025 because it is officially April. We are into the first week of April. We have finally made it through Q1 of 2025. And if you listen to my episode about the beginning of the year blues, you would know that Q1 is always the hardest quarter for me. So I am just feeling like a completely different person now that we have made it through January and February and March. However, I am really proud because usually my beginning of the year blues linger through March, and I feel like as soon as daylight savings hit in the beginning of the month of March, I was a different human. And it's not the entire time that it's in daylight savings, because when it's the opposite way in the fall, I love it. I love the cold, I love the fall, I love the start of winter, I love holiday season. It's literally just January and February and sometimes a little bit of March. So I don't know, whatever. I discuss all of that in that episode. But I'm so glad that this year it kind of lingered less into March and kind of just 86 itself once the sun kind of came out. And March was probably my favorite month of this year so far. I had a lot of time with friends, obviously just felt more like myself, started accomplishing some more goals. I'm feeling really excited to kind of reflect on Q1 today and kind of talk about some ideas and intentions for Q2 for myself. Obviously, little disclaimer, I can only talk about my quarter one experience. I don't know how quarter one was for you all. I hope it was wonderful. But I'm hoping this episode gives you some reflection questions that you could do yourself to reflect on your own first 3 months of this year, just encourages you to reflect in any way, or to also kind of prepare for the next quarter of the year. I know the whole Q1 language is very business heavy. That's how businesses break up their sections, and they kind of reflect every quarter, and it's very corporate to speak in that language. But I really like using that towards goal setting, and I've talked about goal setting in the goal setting episode and tons of other episodes. But for me, it's really helpful to, even if I have yearly goals, to just break them down by quarters and then even into months, into weeks, whatever, because if I'm looking at something and I'm like, oh, by October, I want to do this, I will not do it until October. And that's just how my brain works. I am the world's best procrastinator. And yeah, I don't want to have that title, but it's just become part of who I am, and I've learned to work around it. So if I tell myself, oh, I have until the 10th month of the year to do something, I will simply not do it until then. So breaking things down by quarters really helps me stay on track with my larger goals, as well as the smaller individual daily goals, of course, as well. But definitely helps me break down those larger tasks and goals that I have for the year when I just look 3 months ahead. So I'm like, okay, by March, I want to be doing this. And maybe that's a quarter of what I want to be doing by the end of the year so that I'm able to kind of build upon it as the year goes on instead of trying to do this big, large goal in a month at the end of the year. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so that kind of is my mindset in the whole quarterly reflections. But if you listen to the episode with Marina and I, you heard that we do bi-weekly accountability calls. So I'm still actively checking in on my goals, checking in on Marina's goals with her twice a month. So it's not like I just set my quarter intentions and then let the 3 months go by and then see if I did those things. Like, I'm actively trying to achieve the goals. And I actually brought my journal with me today, where I have the 8, 9 different sections of my life that I set 1 or 2 goals in for each section. And we're going to go through and see which ones I did and didn't do and which ones I need to continue for, like what worked well and I want to continue into Q2, things that I didn't even touch and I need to copy and paste into Q2. Yeah, so we'll talk all about that, but it's really helpful to have that as like your starting point. And then again, like telling someone else your goals, having that broken down into weekly goals is really important. So I'm not just January 1st writing out what I want to do by March and not kind of reflecting on it. I think that is where some people go wrong. So hopefully this is a good reminder to kind of reflect on your yearly goals and see what you can do in Q2 to make them happen. Obviously, you'll hear when I go through my journal, there are several things on this list I didn't even begin to do or do well remotely, like at all. So you will see I am not the queen of goal setting. I'm not the queen of discipline. That's why discipline is my word of the year. But it's something I'm working towards, and I am happy to work through it with you all because it helps me to talk about it. And then also hopefully it encourages and inspires you all to reflect on your goals, like we just said. So absolutely not claiming to be the best goal setter or the most disciplined person in the world. Quite literally the opposite of that is what I'm claiming to be. And that's why I have to do this detailed of goal setting, because if I just say I want to do something and not actually make a plan to do it, I won't do it, because discipline when it comes to things I want to do for myself is really hard for me. I can be very disciplined when other people are asking me to do things for them. I, love to hop up and take someone to the airport or do something, help someone move, whatever it is, like call someone to remind them, like anything. If somebody asks me to do something, I will be there, and I want to be better about doing the same for myself. So big long intro to say that we're going to reflect on quarter 1 and talk a little bit about my intentions for Q2. And yeah, hopefully this episode is interesting. I understand if it's not, because I'm just talking about my life and who really cares, but I care, and I know some people very close to me care. So this is for those people. If you don't care, I am not offended. Feel free to skip. Next week we have, really quick, we have a guest on. So stay tuned for that. It'll be my 5th guest, I believe, on the pod. She is my April guest, and I'm really excited to have her on. So I'm not going to tell you anything else. You'll have to wait and see. But that is a little teaser for next week. Okay, now that we've gotten all of the disclaimers, the teasers, the housekeeping things out of the way, let's dive into quarter 1. I brought my journal with me, and I looked at it a little bit before starting to record, and I was like, oh my gosh, I did a lot of these. And then I was like, oof. So there was a lot of ups and downs, and some were better than others. Some I maybe set a little too high of a goal, some not high enough. So we'll talk about it. So first, in the personal section, I put 1 book a month, which was my goal for last year, and I exceeded that goal. And all of those, every single book I consumed last year was via audiobook. So this year I wanted to try to read an actual book. And if you follow me on Instagram, you saw that all 3 books that I read in Q1 were physical books that I read. So I'm really excited about that. I read the last 2 books in the Housemaid series because I had already listened to the first one. And then I read Verity. So really excited about that. Those books are right up my alley. I love psychothrillers, movies, books, whatever. So that was the perfect type of book. And Frida McFadden's books are just so easy to read because the chapters are so small. So I really loved reading those. So absolutely checked that one off of the list. I don't even remember what this was talking about, but I had to mail 3 things. I'm hoping I did that because I don't even know what those 3 things are. I must have done that, right? I have no idea. Oh, I think it was like Christmas cards and stuff. I think I did that. And then the last thing under my personal section was to do nightly resets before bed. And this was a new routine, is also one of my secondary word of the year. I want to really be intentional about my morning and evening routines because my work schedule is so different, but like obviously I'm going to wake up in the morning and then do something before I go to bed. Like I can have a morning and a pre-bed routine no matter what my day looks like. And so maybe my weeks aren't very routine, but my morning and my night can be. So that was something I wanted to be better about in Q1 this year overall. So I put nightly resets before bed as a personal goal because I didn't like waking up to like dirty dishes in the sink or laundry. Like I'm not able to put my whatever was in the washer in the dryer because I still haven't taken out the dryer. Like I just didn't want to have to like be doing more work for myself in the mornings. So I would do nightly resets, even if that was like folding my laundry as I take it out of the dryer and still leaving it in the laundry basket. Like if I didn't have the energy or the time to put it all away at night, getting it from like doing half of the task was still a win for me. So I did that a lot of the nights. I would unload my clean dishes from my dishwasher and put in the few dirty dishes I had from that day in the dishwasher. You know, not going to bed with dirty dishes in the sink was a huge goal of mine. It just feels nice to like wake up to a clean sink when I go get my glass of water in the morning, which is a part of my morning routine. It's nice to just like not see pasta sauce in a pan from the night before or 2 nights before, whatever. So that was a goal of mine that I feel like I've really got a handle on in Q1. So I'm really proud of that. Obviously, I talk about this all the time, but you guys know I make my bed every day. That has continued in my morning routines. And I've tried to add in different little things into my morning routines. Like I've recently started doing Pilates, just like YouTube Pilates videos. I got myself a yoga mat, and I'm really excited for it to get warmer so I can do it outside on my roof. So yeah, I'm feeling good about the morning and nighttime routine / resets. So personal, feeling like I crushed that. Okay. Then we go on to work. The only goal I put in my work was to time block my tasks daily. And time blocking is like saying from this hour to this hour, I'm going to do this task. This hour to this hour, I'm going to do this task. And honestly, I barely even tried to do this. And the few days that I did, I was on and off with success or not. So some weeks, sometimes, and when I tell you sometimes, I maybe tried this like 5 times throughout the 3 months. But I actually have in this journal, I tried to do a thing called Time Block Tuesdays because it felt like a fun thing. I love alliteration. It felt like a fun challenge to just do like one day a week, like really time block it out and see if I can follow that strict schedule and like see how productive I can be. And it was cool. This specific Tuesday that I did in here, like literally everything's checked off, like cross off the times as I was going through it. I brought this journal with me throughout my day. So I think I feel more prepared to go into Q1 with time blocking. I still think I'll try to do like 1 or 2 days a week just because my days are so different from each other. Like it's hard to be like, okay, you know, this same time every day I'm going to do this. Like my weeks don't look like that. But if there is something like that I just like have to get done, giving myself, even if it's like setting an alarm on my phone or whatever, like, okay, do this for the hour, turn your phone off, set the alarm for 30 minutes or whatever, then you get a break, set it for 30 more minutes, and then try to see how much you get done in that hour or whatever. I think that is something I can be better on and I want to continue to work towards. But I'm glad I saw some success, saw what didn't work. So that felt like a semi-win, a tie, if you will. Then I did financials is another area of my life. I said only buy lunch at work once a week, which honestly, I think I've been really, really good with packing my lunch. And that was a huge win because that saves me money, rather than spending $10 to $15 on a meal at lunch, I'm, probably getting 5 lunches for the same price with my $2 loaf of bread and my $2 peanut butter and jelly and whatever. So that's been good, just staying on track of my grocery shopping. When I get out of sync with my groceries, that is when I'm forced to buy lunch at school or at work. And then obviously my goal was not achieved. But for the most part, if I was good with my grocery shopping and replenishing things as they would run out, I was good with this goal. And then I try thrifting my needs/wants before buying new. I haven't really bought anything new in the past. I had bought myself a new puffer jacket, but I'm actually returning it because I don't like how it fits. So I really haven't spent money, but I do want to go thrifting. So that is something I will add into my Q2 goals. And then in my mindfulness section, I put sleep with my phone out of my bed. I was literally like listening to ocean sounds, like as if I was on the phone with the ocean. My phone was like that close to my head. And that's just not necessary because I can obviously turn the volume up on my phone and put it across the room. I moved my phone charger to a farther away outlet, and that has been game changing. There's something about plugging your phone in, putting it down, and then walking across the room that just like sets your body and your mind up for rest, for sleep. Like it's just like you almost like classically condition your brain, like, okay, once I do this, I'm going to bed. Whereas if you bring your phone to bed, and sometimes you go right to bed, or you bring your phone to bed and then you scroll for an hour, scroll for 2 hours, whatever, like your body doesn't know, there's no like cue that, okay, it's time to go to bed. So that has been really, really helpful for me, because you'll see, I'll skip down to my health section really fast. My only health goal was to prioritize my sleep and be asleep by 11:30, because some nights I work later and other nights I go to bed way earlier than this. So 11:30 was like the absolute latest, and I feel like I really crushed that because my phone was out of my bed. And yeah, those kind of went hand in hand, but it was just being mindful of like, okay, what do I need to prioritize right now? My sleep or TikTok? Like TikTok is never the answer. So that has been a win. I also have on here my accountability calls with Marina twice a month. We crushed that. Sometimes we did them a few days late or did it a week early because one of us was traveling, whatever, but we made that happen all 3 months of Q1. So that was really honestly helpful to stay on top of all of these. And then I did my health goals in my Puda section. My dog goal was to teach him the middle command to like sit in between my legs, and we're working on it still. He like will just sprint through my legs, like he doesn't want to sit. But I'm trying to get him to like sit there if like a dog goes by, or if we're in the pet store and we're in line. I want him to just like sit in a safe place where like other dogs and their owners can kind of tell, like, I don't want you coming up to him, like he's kind of in training. So we're working on that. Sometimes he just like naturally does it, but I don't think he knows like that he's doing the middle command. So we're working on that. I will be carrying that over into Q2. And then my creative section, I really, really struggled here with 2 of my 3 goals. My overarching like creative goal for the year is to get to episode 60, I think. And I think we're still on track to potentially get there. If I get to episode 52, I'll be really hyped which I will get to this year, obviously. That's only 22 more episodes. And there's more weeks than that in the year left, but that'll be cool because that's a year. And then I think maybe once I get to episode 50, that'll be like the end of season 1. So 20 more episodes. But I did like the math. There's 52 years. Yep, 52 years in the year, 52 weeks in the year. And whatever episode I was at before the year started, it seemed like if I had taken less than 10 weeks off throughout the year, I could get to around episode 60. So that was where I got the 60 number. But if I get anywhere between 50 and 60 this year, I'll be really hype. So that is the goal. I am still on track to do that. I did take last week off, obviously, and I think I took a couple off in the beginning of the year when I was sad. But yeah, we're still on track to make that happen. My other 2 creative goals, not so much. First was to post 4 times a week on the podcast account. I sucked at that. I want to post more clips so that I can get more people listening. Yeah, that's just, have to be better. I have to be better. I also want to post more like behind the scenes stuff of like how I make this podcast, like maybe how I edit, how I get it on Spotify, any of the things. I don't know if that would be interesting to anyone. Let me know if it would be. But hoping people would be interested, or just like get ready with me or whatever. Like I want to be, that is another one of my fears. And the whole point of this community is to not be afraid of what people think. So I want to feel more confident posting. So even if I'm not posting 4 like clips from episodes a week, like maybe I'm posting 2 clips and 2 like other types of videos. So be on the lookout for that. Prepare to be sick of me if I actually get my ish together and do this goal. And then my other creative goal, which I don't really know if this is very creative, but I bought a bunch of picture frames to make a gallery wall in my living room, and I still just have like 20 frames, now like 12 frames. Half of them are filled, half of them are not, and I need to just sit down and like order prints off of Etsy and get them printed. But every time I try, I like cannot decide what I freaking want to put in these frames. So they're all just stacked still over here. You can't see, but they're in this room, and I need to hang them up because that blank white wall in my living room is bothering me, and I'm not doing anything about it because I've had these frames for literally months now. So the gallery wall needs to go on the wall this month. That is an April goal. We're making that happen, and I will keep you all in the loop with that. And then in my relationships category, my goals were to call my long distance friends once a week. I feel like I did that, or they called me. I definitely can be better about calling them. You guys know who you are, and you know that I love you, and know that I am sometimes MIA when it comes to calling. But we did talk once a week, at least via text, FaceTime, calling. And that was a goal of mine to make that happen. And they also contributed to making that happen. So I'm grateful for that. Also, my goal was to see my like Philly friends once a week as well. So that was really easy with trivia, and just like going on runs. I'm in a heyday volleyball league. So been doing fun things with my Philly friends. And yeah, I feel like I can be better with the calling. Feel like I crushed the in-person friendships. And then my last category was movement, and did not do well with these because it was cold and I was miserable. No, my movement goals were to run 8 to 10 miles a week. I would be surprised if I ran even 8 to 10 miles in the 3 months. So we will be doing better with that. I have to do better with that because I have goals to achieve for the year. I want to do a half marathon this year, and at the least, and I want to also, well, I'm in the 10-mile Broad Street run in May, so I need to just kind of up my training again for that. I know I can do it because I did the 10-mile Rocky Run, but still, I just want to be prepared. And then also to work out at work twice a week. And I said runs count, like even if I just go in and run on the treadmill, to kind of help me achieve that 8 to 10 mile goal. But I didn't do that either. So I did work out once at work in the 3 months of the first quarter. And now I feel a little bit better about how, what I would use the machine, not the machines, I don't really like machines, but the equipment, where I would go in the gym. I do feel better about that. I have ran in there several times, but I'd never really lifted. And it was fun to challenge myself in a different way than like the Pilates videos I've been doing. So even if I just go in there once a week, maybe that'll be the new goal, because twice a week obviously wasn't happening. So maybe I'll just go to one and then run and do Pilates the other days of the week that I want to work out. So that is all of the things I have in my Q1 goals. Like I said, I feel like some of them I really crushed. Some of them I didn't even attempt, and some I was halfway with. So I will be continuing, honestly, most of these over to quarter two, and probably will be adding in a few things here and there, changing maybe the numbers or the amount of times I do things a week for quarter two. But yeah, overall, I feel like the wins of quarter one were doing as many episodes as I did do for the podcast, and having several guests on. And I had two guests in quarter one. And then also one of my yearly goals is to visit 3 new states. And I visited my friends on the West Coast and went to Nevada for the first time. That was a new state. So I need to go to 2 more states this year. So that was another big win for Q1. And that trip was just a win because it was like right in between January and February. So that was kind of a nice pick me up during those beginning of the year blues. And yeah, I think obviously working out at work once was a win. And now that the weather's been nice, I've gone on a few runs. And those have been wins. But I'm looking forward to really taking back my motivation and my discipline now that it is the time of year that I feel more like myself. Yeah, so that is all of the things for Q1. And I'm not going to go through like all of my goals because they're mostly the same things that I just talked about for Q2, but just some intentions that I want to set out into the universe for Q2. Maybe these will kind of come out in the form of affirmations, but and then I also want to give some reflection questions for people if you are also reflecting on your first couple months of the year / reflecting on what you want to do in Q2. So my intentions for Q2 are consistency regardless of results. And I really like that intention is like just being consistent regardless of if you are seeing physical results, if you're feeling mental results, whatever it is, like those will come if you're consistent. They will absolutely not come if you're inconsistent and you kind of fall off on whatever task or goal you're trying to achieve. So consistency regardless of results is my first intention. My second intention for Q2 is to do things that future me will thank past me for. So set future Al up for success. And that is something I will like literally keep in mind. And I'll like catch myself like going to bed without folding my laundry. And I'm like, hold on, like tomorrow morning me is going to be so happy and so grateful that I folded my laundry last night. If I just do it now, me tomorrow will be so happy. Like, and it's like funny to kind of talk like that to yourself. But honestly, I literally will say it out loud sometimes. I'd be like, hold on, what would future you want you right now to do? And it helps. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, let me set my future self up for success. Let me help me be the best version of myself, right? And that is something that I want to be really intentional about for going into the rest of the year. My third intention is something I just recently saw online, is that you're already successful once you put your art out into the world. Like that is success because you're letting people see it. And it was a post talking about like there's so many people that create things and just like immediately delete them, or create art and never show anyone. And not that you're creating it for anyone, but like these podcasts, like I'm successful just because I'm posting them. It doesn't matter if there's one person listening or 100,000 people listening. It's successful because I get to, one, define what success is to me, but two, like I'm doing it, right? Like that's success. Like you're doing it. And obviously like everyone measures success differently. I'm not like making money off of this podcast. So like you could say somebody that's making money off of a podcast is more successful than somebody that's not. But for me, my whole goals of this podcast is one, never was to make money. Two, it was to do something that I've always wanted to do. And that's really the main goal, but also to like work on, like to reflect and be a little bit of a reminder for people to self-reflect and to like do that with people. Like even though I'm sitting here talking to myself to a camera, like hopefully like you're also reflecting with me. And that is like the coolest thing of this whole community podcast project, is that like that is success to me. Like because, you know, even if somebody sends me a text and is like, oh, I loved like this one little sentence that you said, like that is the successful part. So that is what I want to continue doing. And, you know, along with my creative goals of like posting more, like that, just posting is success because that is a goal of mine. I'm not making a goal, oh, every single post has to have 1 million views. Like that would be so unrealistic and ridiculous, right? But since my goal is to just post 4 times a week, and if I do that, then I'm successful, right? So just reframing success is another one of my intentions for this next quarter. consistency regardless of, so my intentions are consistency regardless of results, doing things future me will be grateful for, and redefining what success means to me. Those are kind of the 3 things I'm focusing on. And I think all of those help lead towards me being disciplined and routine with my goals in life. So those are some of the things that I am focusing on and intending to do in quarter 2. And some journal prompts or just some food for thought for you all is, 1, I love to get out positive thoughts about myself. Like I love to force myself to think positively about myself and the things that I'm doing, because sometimes it's really easy for our brains to do the opposite. So I love prompts like, what is something I've been really good at recently? Like what is something I'm really proud of myself for recently? Like anything along those lines. Like something I like love about myself this week is that I did this. What is a win from this week? What is a win from this day? Like anything where you're reflecting on something positive about yourself is so important to do. So I always start there, because I don't want to be like, oh, I sucked on these, and like this, and this, like what can I do better? Like start with what you're doing really well and what you want to continue to do. And then you can take the motivation, the discipline from those areas into the areas where you need to maybe be a little more disciplined or more focused. Then you can kind of go into, okay, what area of my life do I want to be better at? What goal do I want to set for my work category of my life, or my financial category of my life, or my movement category of my life, whatever, section, how can I be better? And this isn't like a dogging on yourself reflection question. This is just like, you have to reflect to be able to grow. So remind yourself to like still be talking positively when you're answering these questions, because you don't have to be like, oh, I sucked at this. Like just say, okay, I want to be better at this. Like framing things in a way where you're still speaking positive about yourself. Another reflection question that I really enjoy is, and I've talked about it a million times on here, but what would the version of myself from 5 years ago think of current me? That I like love to do like at least once a quarter, because, and like really, really think about it. Like current me is like exactly like how I move through the world. What did I do today that 21-year-old me would be so proud of? Like it doesn't have to be like, like so general of like, oh, I have this, I do this now. Like think about like 21-year-old me was like not really, she was a happy girl, but she was also struggling mentally and whatever it is, like thinking about like, oh, okay, like 21-year-old me would probably think this if this happened to her, but now I think this when that same thing would happen to me. Like get down to the nitty gritty of like that question. That's how you'll be able to do it so often, because like I'm not just like, oh, like she thinks I'm so cool. Like of course she thinks I'm cool, because look at me compared to her. Like I am so cool, but like no, it's like you got to get like really down to like, how did 21-year-old me, how did 16-year-old me think, and why, and how would she think about how I think now? Like it's just so cool to think about. And then also another thing I like to do when I'm setting quarterly goals is looking back at your yearly goals and seeing like, okay, where am I at with these? Do I need to up the amount of times I do something a week? Am I good with how I have been going? Have I not even touched this yearly goal that I have? Like keeping tabs on that is really helpful. So then you look back at that and then you break that down into your quarterly goals. And, whether it's doing something once a month, whether it's doing something twice a month, every week, whatever it is, daily, then you're able to kind of be like, okay, I'm actually like working towards my goals. So reflecting on things you're doing really well, reflecting on areas you want to grow, looking back at how past versions of yourself would think about current versions of yourself in any area of your life, and then also sitting down and reflecting on your yearly goals and making sure you're still on track with those is kind of where I would start with setting up my Q2 journal prompt. Also, if this is something that you have like never done before, if you've never broken your goals into like quarter goals, or if you've just like never goal set, first of all, go listen to my goal setting episode. I think it's episode 2. But also, you can start doing this whenever. Like this isn't something that you have to like practice. Like I'm like you are practicing if you just start doing it, but it's not something where you have to be in like a certain area of your life. You don't have to like have a certain anything to be able to do this. Like you can literally set any goal for yourself at any time and start trying to do it. And once you start goal setting, you'll figure out what works best for you. I just started doing this like quarterly method like a year ago, and it's what works best for me. Some people maybe break down their goals for the year, and they don't have to like break it down as small as I do. And that's what works for them. Like whatever works for you is what works. Don't listen to what I say or what someone else says and only stick with that and don't try any other methods. Like do your own research, see what works for you, try new tasks and new ways of achieving goals. Like whatever works is what you should do. These are the things that work for me and what fires me up about, my own goals. But, if you have something else that works for you, one, share it with us, put it in the comments, text me, let me know. But, do that. That's really the message here. So, I hope you all enjoyed kind of reflecting on Q1 with me. Well, reflecting on my Q1. I hope you all reflected on your first 3 months of the year and are setting some intentions for April, May, and June. I'm really excited for these next few months. I have some exciting things happening and coming up, so I'm looking forward to all of that. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, we will have a guest on next week. I think I'll put it out next week. We're filming before with plenty of time, so it should be up next week. If not, it's coming in April. And yeah, thank you all for being patient with me. I'm sorry I was sick last week. You can still kind of hear I'm a little nasally still, but feeling obviously a million times better. For a second there, thought I had the flu, but it was just like a 48-hour weird cold. But yeah, so thank you all for being here. If no one's told you recently, I love you. I'm proud of you, and you're kicking life's butt. And keep 86ing whatever you're trying to 86. And see you never, Q1 of 2025. Just kidding. I did love you, but there were some times that I wanted you to kick rocks. So we're welcoming Q2 with open arms, and I hope you all have a wonderful start to your Q2. Do not take a shot for every time I said Q1 or Q2 in this episode. You will die. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you all for listening. I will see you in episode 31. Bye.